Chris Stephens and other members of the wish to involved.
Yeah, thanks very much, Chair. It's a pleasure to see you in the Chair, and can I firstly refer to my registered member's interest, my position as Chair of the PCS Parliamentary Group, and as a member of Unison, the Glasgow City branch, one of the largest branches of that trade union of which I am a member. Now, can I say what we have in front of us is not quite the non-controversial, bland statements that we heard from the Minister, that somehow this is a small change that's being made, and he knows that, of course. It's far more controversial than that, and I think it should be useful to point out what can be deducted from a public sector worker's wages and subscriptions, because I think that's important, because that then will set the scene as to what is really going on here. So people can pay their bills through their wages. They can pay council tax, for example, or their rent. They could make a charitable donation. When I was employed with Glasgow City Council, I made a regular donation to a South Africa charity which is founded by the great Dennis Goldberg Community Heart. Staff associations deductions can be made from wages. So you can have an environment in which staff associations subscriptions are paid via their wages, but a colleague sitting next to them who's a member of a trade union, there's legislation now to try and curb that activity. Quite extraordinary that people will allow other subscriptions to come off their pay. For example, if they're a cyclist, there may be some scheme that an employer has come up with in relation to cycling, which would come off of that as well. Now, we're in a collective bargaining arena, and it seems to me, once again, Mr. Paisley, and I sat on the Trade Union Bill Committee that discussed at length the arguments around check-off when the government tried to stop it altogether, is that once again we have a government that does not understand and has little understanding of what takes place in a collective bargaining unit and a trade union organised workplace. And I am concerned that there's a bias here towards staff associations vis-à-vis against a trade union. And I have tabled many questions around this particular topic in the nearly 9 years that I have been here. And there are also legal risks. Every time the government has tried to do something around check-off, it has ended up in a court defeat. If you took this government's record on check-off in court, and they were a football team, Mr. Paisley, they would be firmly in the relegation zone. Because every time they've been taken to court around check-off arrangements, they have found themselves defeated. And it's worthwhile quoting from one such court case in which Mr. Justice Spokesperson had said, "I am not impressed by the argument that check-off is only or primarily for the benefit of the trade union, as such rather for its members in their capacity as employees." So what the government is doing is that we have employees of public services who wish their trade union subscriptions to be taken out of their pay pack. And the government seems to have an issue around that. And I cannot understand the government's fascination. A government is supposed to be for small government. It's supposed to be against state interference. Is opposed to voluntary arrangements between a trade union and the public sector and a public sector employer. It's quite extraordinary, Mr. Paisley, that the government found themselves in that position, but we know why they put themselves in that position, because they have for many years tried to curb the activities of the trade union movement. And why are they doing that? Because we all know the benefits of trade union membership in the workplace leads to increased wages, better terms and conditions, and you're less likely to be dismissed from your job if you're a member of a trade union. That is a fact. And it seems to me quite extraordinary that the Conservative Party in this government would be opposed to such principles that the trade union movement is founded on, in which I am a proud member. I am equally concerned, Mr Paisley, at the lack of consultation with the devolved administrations. This is quite extraordinary that we have public sector workers in Scotland, some who will work for the Scottish Government, some will work for Westminster Department, some will work for other public bodies, and there was no consultation with the Scottish Government. Is it because, Mr Paisley, they would have been told by the Scottish Government that they would not be interested in interfering in this regard? Because we know, Mr Paisley, that any time a trade union has been approached, to make a contribution to the employer for check-off arrangements, it has always met that test. But why does the government want to interfere in an arrangement where the employer and the trade unions are happy for those check-off arrangements to be made at, as we've heard from the Shadow Minister, very little cost? It's more blue tape, Mr Paisley. Not red tape, blue tape. The most regulated part of the economy seems to be the trade union movement, Mr Paisley. And once again, we're seeing that again. It's laissez-faire in some parts of the economy and Stalinism when it comes to these arrangements. It's quite extraordinary that they go from that with no intervening period whatsoever. And I'm equally concerned that the government's approach to this is in breach of international labour organisation laws. We have seen internationally in countries like, for example, the Congo, in which the ILO committee of experts reported that since the check-off system was abandoned, there was no procedure for deducting trade union dues from workers' pay. And that is the agenda here, is to have trade union subscriptions paid by other means other than from their pay packet. It's a device, Mr Paisley, to ensure, or to try and ensure, that the trade union, the size of the trade union in a workplace is reduced, and to try and ensure that they de-recognise those trade unions. This is the agenda here, and we know that that's the agenda here. So it's not the uncontroversial, bland statutory instrument that has been presented to us by the Minister. It's very much the opposite. And I do think that if they progress with this measure, they will find themselves in court again, probably on the back of a defeat. And I do think that there's very real issues about that. And lastly, Mr Paisley, this change from their commitment that the implementation period would be 12 months was really, and I will say this with great respect to the Minister, and he was on the Department of Work and Pensions Select Committee with him, so I know he's assiduous in these matters. That is not some non-controversial change because of technology. It's not modernisation. They committed to a 12-month implementation period, and they're reneging on that, and I think it's quite disgraceful that they have done so, and they need to call out on it, and it needs to be justified, because at the moment, the way the Minister has presented that, it has not. So I'm afraid, Mr Paisley, I do view the statutory instrument that's in front of us is striking at the heart of trade union organisations in the public sector. It's insidious, and I too will be opposing it when we get to the vote. Thank you.